So Thunderbolts was directed by Jake Shearer and it stars Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Lewis Pullman, Wyatt Russell, Sebastian Stan, Hannah John Kamen, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And this movie, various people from the MCU, including Elena Belova, John Walker, Ghost, they all wind up in like this trap, and they wind up working together to try to stop a common enemy. So this was a movie that, of the Marvel movies that were coming out this year, I would say this is the one I was looking forward to second most. Right now, Fantastic Four is still up there. Thunderbolts looked kind of interesting, kind of like Marvel's answer to Suicide Squad a bit. Hopefully, it's better than Suicide Squad, or at least as good as the Suicide Squad. And as far as the trailers go, the trailers looked all right. They looked like they could have been fun. Looked like they were going to be fun and exciting and such. And I saw this movie, and honestly, I had a good time with it. Marvel is in a weird place right now where it's like every time they have a bad movie, they wind up having a good movie afterwards. Like case in point, after for a while, it's like they had Thor: Love and Thunder, but then it came back with Black Panther. Then Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania came out, which was not good. Then Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was good. Then the Marvels happened. Deadpool and Wolverine seemed like a comeback, and then Brave New World happened. But now we're back with Thunderbolts. I hope that's not the case because I hope Fantastic Four is actually good. But let's dive into this movie. I actually did enjoy it for the most part. So, what did I like about this movie? First off, I thought the acting was pretty good. I think this is some of the best I've seen a lot of these people in these movies and such. Florence Pugh, I thought she was fantastic in this movie. Probably the best I've seen her in as Yelena. I thought her character was really interesting, even more interesting than the character beforehand, like in movies like Black Widow or stuff like Hawkeye. She was really good. Also, David Harbour's in this movie. He's kind of the comedic foil in this movie where a lot of his jokes, they don't like he's in it enough, I would say. Like he's not overly jokey, but like he's still human at least. I did like his character. Wyatt Russell, I liked him in this movie. Thought his character was very interesting as well. Lewis Pullman, when you kind of like find out more and more about his character, he does become a lot more interesting. Sebastian Stan's good. Julia Louis-Dreyfus also surprised me in this movie. I thought she was just kind of a throwaway character in some of these movies and such, but she actually has a lot to do in this movie, and I actually thought she was very interesting in this movie. And I do think there are a lot of intriguing sequences in this movie. Like there's like one that's like an escape scene that's really cool. Also one that's involving like a car chase that was pretty fun. And the main battle at the end of the movie, which I won't spoil it, but it's like, okay, this is actually kind of intriguing. This is actually getting kind of dark, both literally and figuratively. I do think I think it's all kind of well handled for the most part. And also, the Thunderbolts themselves, they actually work very well together. A lot of it does feel natural. Like, a lot of it does feel like they're naturally coming together. Like, it is kind of funny. Like, a lot of their banter can be kind of funny. Like, it's not, like, overly jokey. Like, they still know what's going on in the movie. But, like, they know when to play it funny. They know when to play it as serious as they can. And I feel like it works well with this movie. I definitely feel like this is kind of one of the more interesting team ups I've seen in a Marvel movie in a long time. And I do think that also the movie talks about something that I kind of didn't expect from this movie, and that was talking about mental health in a weird way, which I'm like, huh, that's kind of fascinating that you kind of do it in this way that in both a metaphor and a literal sense. I do think that this movie does talk about that very well. And I would say that this is kind of a fascinating superhero movie because it actually does some things really well. And I feel like it could have been really cheesy if they did it this way, but I feel like it's actually handled very well. Not just with like some characters. Well, with some characters, it's more of a metaphor. With other characters, it's more of a literal sense. And I do think both are actually handled pretty well. Like, there's stuff about Yelena that's actually very well handled. Stuff with Bob that's actually very well handled. I did not expect to get like emotionally invested in this movie as I did. But let's talk about some of the things I don't really like in this movie. First off, there's a couple storylines in this movie that I thought were just kind of unnecessary. When you watch the movie and you kind of see like how things play out, it's like, okay, so this is going to be the climax of the movie. This is how you imagine this movie is going to end. Well, the movie itself actually drops some of the storylines. I'm like, well, that's kind of unnecessary. Also, there are some characters in this movie that they don't really have too much to do. Hannah John Kamen, she returns from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I honestly felt like her character really did not need to be in this movie. Also, Taskmaster, it's like, okay, everyone kind of figured Taskmaster was not going to be in this movie as much as they were probably thinking based on the fact that Taskmaster is on the poster and everything. But the way they're taken out is like, well, okay, they literally could have saved some time and just not had this character in this movie at all. Okay, then. Not really a spoiler because you kind of already know what's going on. And also Bucky's storyline. It is fascinating that he's now an elected official, but at the same time his storyline is not very interesting. Like his main storyline, not counting him being with the Thunderbolts and such, is that he's trying to get someone to testify, and I feel like it wasn't as interesting as anything else in this movie. Like also, John Walker, even though Wyatt Russell does a good job in this role, I felt like his character didn't really have too much to do outside of like the reveal, like some things that have kind of happened to him since Falcon and Winter Soldier and such. But I do feel like that it's mostly Yelena's show. It's like mostly about her, and there's definitely some stand-up performances. Again, Lewis Pullman, David Harbour, also Julia Louis-Dreyfus. They all kind of just stand out in their own weird way. Maybe not weird, but like their own unique way at least. So Thunderbolts, honestly, I thought it was a better movie than I expected. I was kind of worried going into it, thinking it was going to be like, oh, this is going to be just some throwaway Marvel movie with some B-list characters and such. But honestly, I'm actually enjoying this movie. I had a good time watching it. It kind of made me think a little bit. And honestly, also, what I also don't like about this movie, admittedly, there are definitely some moments in this movie where I'm watching it and I'm kind of thinking of other aspects that are like, it kind of reminds me of other things from other movies and such, from other superhero movies, even some random movies and such. I won't spoil what they are if you haven't seen the movie at this point, but you may figure it out when you see it. So I will say that Thunderbolts I actually did like for the most part. I thought it was unique. I thought it was funny. Not overtly funny, like it wasn't distracting or anything, but like it was fun. It was a good time. And it definitely kind of made me think a little bit more than some of these other MCU movies out there. So the acting is pretty good, particularly from Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Wyatt Russell, Lewis Pullman, Julie Louis Dreyfus. They're all fantastic in this movie. The sequences are fascinating. They're very well done. The action's pretty good for the most part. It can be naturally funny in that it's not like overcompensating for like lack of story. And again, I do think the talk about mental health is very important, actually very well handled. Even though there are some characters and storylines I felt like could have been handled a little bit better, and also some aspects of the plot where I'm like, okay, this is just borrowed heavily from something else. I will say this is still a fun time and definitely the better MCU movie this year than Brave New World. I'll give Thunderbolts 3 out of 4 stars. See it. So, what was a Marvel movie that you expected to hate but wound up enjoying? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.